Good afternoon, and ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone is safe and taking care. My name is Kashika Chadbar from Nuremberg, Messe, India, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you at the A.B.I.S Knowledge Summit. Asia's broadcasting and infotainment show comprises of the Broadcast India Show, SCAT India Trade Show, and Content India Show. At the A.B.I.S Knowledge Summit, we look forward to bringing to you engaging panel discussions, interesting fireside chats, and interactive product demos today and tomorrow. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you who are just joining us, and a warm welcome to those who have been tuned with us since morning. We hope you all are enjoying this interesting sessions we have all up till now. Let's get right to our next session, satellite in the video distribution value chain. Let me introduce our panel for today, beginning with Mr. Anil Malhotra, CEO, City Networks. Mr. Malhotra is a veteran with over 3 decades of rich experience across the cable television industry with deep expertise across various facets of media distribution, vis-a-vis technology, content, regulatory compliances, and sales operations, with the proven track record of amalgamating progressive leadership and entrepreneurial spirit throughout his career. Our next panelist is Mr. Gaurav Kharod, Managing Sales Director at Intelsat. A satellite communications professional with 20 plus years in the satellite industry, Mr. Kharod has worked across different satellite service providers like Hughes, Viasat, and now at Intelsat. An industry veteran, he has worked across satellite networks and media application domains, gaining new experience in the maritime and IFC domains. Next, we would like to introduce Mr. John Huddle, Director Market Development Asia, SES, who leads the SES Videos market development activities in Asia Pacific and is responsible for developing new business opportunities across the region and driving strategic relationships and ventures with key stakeholders. Mr. Huddle is also responsible for providing in region support in delivering SES videos, value added solutions, and media platforms. In a 15-year career span, Mr. Huddle has led global sales activities and driven customer engagement strategy for satellite operator Intelsat and mobile satellite communications company Thuraya. Joining them is Mr. Rajdeep Gohil, Senior Sales Director, ASIASAT. Mr. Gohil has over 21 years of experience in the telecommunications and broadband industry, working in various global enterprises. He is responsible for developing the region by creating deeper engagements and sales activities. With prior experience as sales director of South Asia with the satellite company and as senior regional manager South Asia at Airtel Global Business, he has a solid experience in working at ground level with broadcasters, distributors, and telecom services providers across South Asia. Next, we would like to introduce Mr. Vynsley Fernandes, MD and CEO Next Digital Limited. He has been overseeing all their media business encompassing cable TV, hits, broadband, and is India's foremost technocrat with 3 decades of experience in delivering and managing assignments globally, including DTH hits platforms, digital cable networks, and news and entertainment channels. He has managed high profile assignments for leading blue chip media organizations. He continues to represent the industry at various international and national forums and has several accolades to his career. He has been recognized with the prestigious CEO of the Year award presented by World Leadership Congress in February 2021. Rounding up this panel and moderating this session for us is Mr. Rajeev Gambhir, Senior Director Technology and Policy at Satcom Industry Association. Mr. Gambhir is a seasoned broadcast, media, and telecom professional with a career span of over 3.5 decades, working with optical, coaxial, terrestrial wireless, and satellite based access business for video and data delivery. Prior to SIA India, he was Vice President at Reliance Jio. He is currently Senior Director Technology and Policy at Satcom Industry Association. Before I hand over to Mr. Gambhir, just one note to all our attendees, we will be having a Q&A session at the end, so please send your questions in the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Mr. Gambhir, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Kashika, for those kind words. And a small bit of housekeeping. I hope we can all be heard. So, yeah, it's good to be back with friends. And I'm so glad that I've been given this opportunity to pick the mind of such eminent panelists. And I would love the audience to join me in this journey of learning from them. Thanks, Manoj. Thanks, Kashika. Thanks, Davis Summit. So in terms of the satellite on the video value chain, that's the subject that we are going to interact on today. For a video user watching television, satellites have played an invisible role throughout the various transformations that can happen in the industry. So, Rajdeep, may I bring you in? Could you help highlight the role of satellite through the various phases of the journey that the video industry has been through and the various segments that comprise of this video value chain?
Sure. I mean, before I begin, I want to thank all the viewers for logging in and patiently giving me the time and years. And I'm very happy to be part of such a distinguished panel. Comparatively, my experience is relatively very minuscule to the stalwarts that I'm sharing the panel with. But having an opportunity to work for over the last 21 years into the telecom and satellite industry, I think I must say to begin with, as you said, that satellite has been playing very invisible role. I mean, most of us in India did not know that until 1989, the only way we could connect to US over a phone was through satellite. I mean, ever since the first private television has started in India in 1992, ASIASAT has witnessed and has, opportunity to provide services in India. I think satellite today play a very, very quintessential role into the media and entertainment, particularly with the linear TV channel that we see on our television. If I have to put it across, as we are witnessing the advent of the new technology and various alternate stream, which has been very buzzing and for very rightly reason. If you look at the role of satellite, in my assessment, we just took a step back and we see what if there's no satellite. It is incredibly challenging for us to reach to one-to-many, which satellite plays a role in making a content delivery. Today, an IPL warm-up matches or a World Cup warm-up matches is being played in UAE. And within a speed of seconds, it reaches out to the across the region. More than 16 countries receive the feed. That's the kind of formidable role that satellite plays. So, in my assessment today, what we have seen, the entertainment that reaches to about 205 million TV household, satellite plays a very, very important role. And I think if you have to look at it from the current perspective of how the industry is evolving, in all of the value chain of the broadcaster to the story that reaches to viewers, satellite plays a very, 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 very important role. One, that a lot of people who watches their DTH in their home, they realize that signals of their total TV channels is on satellite. If you look at the broadcasting, any TV channels that has been on the linear television, it reaches to about 100,000 local cable operator across India. And that is possible with the satellite. If we step back and if you see that if the content has to be pushed through the pipe of terrestrial or internet, I don't think so today we are ready to switch completely to the alternate stream. So therefore, in the present context, while the things are evolving, broadband subscriber base is increasing, the wireless internet user are increasing, I think thus far satellite plays a very, very quintessential role. And in my assessment, will continue to play a very significant role in moving future as well.
Thank you so much, Rajeev. Taking the points further, John and Gaurav, I'd like to ask you, are the satellite replaceable in the value chain? When I look at the satellites, I look at cost effectiveness, I look at ubiquitous coverage, performance, and reliability. So do you see there is a replacement for satellite in the current value chain or in near future?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think you highlighted really well, Rajeev, some of the sort of benefits of satellite, and I don't believe today anything can match what is really our superpower, which is reach and reliability. And when you combine those things together, I think satellite will remain absolutely critical for the delivery of linear video content. I think there's villages and remote areas will always be challenged to be connected enough to enjoy OTT over the top television content. And India, which is the land of almost free data, still has the largest TV audience and growing. And whilst 70% of India's population lives in rural India, I think what we see today is more than 80% of OTT traffic in India is coming from the metros and the tier 1 cities, right? So broadband coverage via fiber is far from reaching everyone. And this is where I think satellite plays a huge role, as we're really uniquely positioned to address this digital divide and provide that connectivity. So I don't see in the near term how that will be replaced. I think another useful point is that DTH operators are, even in heavily broadband markets, for example Europe, what we see is our major DTH customers still making commitments that last for at least another decade. So I think the DTH operators still see linear TV as part of their core offering.
So while John talked about the free data, someone is paying for it. It cannot be free across the value chain. So Gaurav, talking about this, where do you see satellite in terms of cost per GB? Does it have a value proposition with respect to the IP mode of delivery?
Thanks, Rajeev. And before I start off, I must claim that I'm the good boy in the panel here. I'm putting out the logos for A.B.I.S and STAT and the organizers. So thank you so much for allowing me here on this panel. And I really value the fact that I got invited. Rajeev, to your question, yes, satellite is still the best medium, will remain one of the best mediums so far as one-to-many distribution is concerned. The inherent nature of satellite, and we all know it, the broadcast multicast capability, makes satellite such a powerful medium that there is really no comparison when it comes to broadcast delivery of content or multicast delivery of content. Adding a new connection does not stress the network, does not add any cost to the platform or to the network. Once the network is established, it's there, and you can keep adding new subscribers at almost zero cost. So just to give you some figures to corroborate this evidence on a delivery per GB on satellite, I'll make it a more comparable megabits per month. Today, the cost of a guaranteed delivery of 1 megabits per second on satellite across India for distribution of video content to 50,000 LCOs or more, probably 100,000, is just about 1.75 rupees per megabits per month. This is in comparison to a fiber network, and the fiber network can cost anywhere between a $10 per month, which is 750 rupees per megabit per month, to maybe $50 or $100, depending upon where the geography is. The beauty about satellite delivery on a cost comparison basis is also that it is ubiquitous. The last cable operator in an island in Andaman Nicobar will also get the delivery of content at the same price point, unlike in the fiber world or in any other terrestrial media world. So from that point of view, I think satellite on a cost per GB, cost per megabits comparison gives you great advantage over any other form of technology as far as video distribution is concerned. If I must caveat that. But yes, the key element for the satellite industry is how do we translate this advantage going forward? How do we take part in the disruption that is being caused by direct-to-consumer OTT kind of platforms? And I think that's, I'm sure we'll get into that discussion as we go forward. Thanks, sir.
So looking at the value chain, right from content acquisition to moving on to operators and moving on to direct to customers, satellites have a role to play across, right from the SNGs, DSNGs to the DTH side. Vynsley, I'd like to bring you in here. HITS, NXTDIGITAL is the only HITS player today and doing it successfully. And we would like to understand more from you on the HITS model and how it helps the video delivery chain.
Sure. So thank you, and good seeing everyone on the panel, all old friends, including you, Rajeev. So Rajeev, it's exactly, in fact, it corroborates further what Gaurav spoke about. So even before we launched HITS, it's not like we launched HITS overnight as a business model or as a business case. We were already a cable television operator in the country under the brand name InDigital, right? Where we had multiple head ends all across the country, etc. To be fair, it was our promoters' foresight and, of course, our colleagues at that time who realized that if you want to truly digitize India and if you want to reach the 2 Rs, and John mentioned the 2 Rs, which is so critical, reach and reliability. If you want to be able to reach every part of this country and truly digitize this country, then you need to have a satellite-based mechanism. And that's the philosophy on the basis of which we launched the Head End in the Sky platform in the country called NXTDIGITAL. Today, Rajeev, if you look at it, we have 1,500 points of 1,500 cities that we cover, over 4,500 pin codes. And mind you, those are places like the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep Islands. We're up in Kargil. We're very proud actually to be in Kargil with the army there. We're all across Ladakh, far northeastern reaches of Arunachal Pradesh, everywhere. And we have, it's, overnight, a small cable operator or a last mile owner, as we call them, who was delivering, 50 channels, 60 channels, analog channels. Overnight, that last mile owner has gone digital and now delivers delivers over 650 digital services. So that shows the kind of magnitude and our belief in terms of what satellite holds. Any kind of expansion today, whether we want to do it locally or in the cities, and even in the cities, when it comes to good reliability, the kind of uptime that we get from satellite delivery is significantly higher today. And the beauty, there's one more piece of course, strength that we have, and which John and Gaurav and Rajdeep, who are the tech gurus as well, will agree, is one great advantage is because we are in CBAN, right? We're not affected by weather conditions. So, we're in Jammu and Kashmir, it's snowing there, and our signals work just fine. We're in, West Bengal, which is going through some tremendous amount of rainfall, northeastern reaches, signals working absolutely fine. We're in Udaipur and Jaipur, temperatures have hit 52 degrees, signals working absolutely fine. So I think there's a lot to be said for why we took the call to go onto satellite for a video delivery chain. And that has paid off. That has paid off. We focused more on growing our head end in the sky, the HITS business, rather than looking at terrestrial businesses, because HITS has been able to give us that, satellite has been able to give us a national reach virtually overnight as compared to a terrestrial reach where, significantly the cost would be higher, the cost of infrastructure, the backbone, laying the fiber, all of that. So that's how was our decision, Rajeev, to go onto a satellite-based delivery mechanism.
Vynsley, if I was an operator, how do I connect with you? Like, how does it work?
Sorry, I should have explained that, Rajeev. Sorry, my apologies. So let's imagine that there is a last mile owner in let's take, for example, in Arunachal Pradesh. Let's take a place in Arunachal Pradesh. The operator has only an electricity connection, which is kind of iffy in the best case scenario. He's basically not able to deliver any content to his small town or his small semi-urban or semi-rural area. All he needs to do is buy one of these devices, which is the size of a refrigerator, and it's a proprietary device that we designed called a cable operator premise equipment. It's the size of a refrigerator. All he needs to do is install that refrigerator size equipment, connect it to 3 or 4 satellite dishes that are roughly about anywhere between 8 feet to 12 feet in terms of diameter, look up at our satellite, and he goes digital virtually overnight. And the beauty is that then he downlinks all the signals. So we receive all the signals at our Head End in the Sky facility in Noida. We receive all the broadcast channels. We process them. We kind of compress them, bundle them, and we then push them up to our own satellite, our Head End in the Sky satellite, which is on Intelsat currently. And at the cable operator end, we've done a very smart thing. So rather than using tremendous amount of satellite bandwidth, we only uplink the pay channels, and the cable operator receives the pay channels from our HIT satellite, and he receives all the other free-to-air channels directly into the scope technology. So overnight, he has access to 650 channels, 300 could be free pay, 350 free-to-air, and he's able to redistribute it. Not only that, we've designed apps that work in the most difficult places. I mean, you're not going to go to the Andaman and Nicobar or certain places and get 3G and 4G connection. So we've designed apps for them that work on the lowest bitrate or the lowest kind of bandwidth availability consumption on a mobile phone to be able to control their networks. So effectively, he goes digital in literally overnight, and the entire process from installation to commissioning takes around 7 days. By the time the equipment gets there, foundations built, dishes are put in. So 7 days, he's up and running pretty much. I hope that answered the question, Rajeev.
Yeah, it does. And allow me to be cheeky. The cable operator premises equipment, quote unquote, allows it to cope with the requirements of the changing transformation that the industry is going through.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. But recently there was something of infra trading between NXTDIGITAL and Siti Cable, and I'd like to bring in Anil here to explain us how it helps City networks to take advantage of this. Hi, Anil.
Hi, Rajeev. Rajeev, you are right. We have signed a contract with Vynsley's company, and infrastructure sharing is the only way forward for satellite sharing or technologies like this. You would note that mobile broadband mobile services in India expanded only when the tower infrastructure sharing was permitted by government. Yes. Otherwise, if everybody was to create his own, in fact, it has become a big business in itself now. There are tower companies which are valued at X and Y Z price. But you see, if everybody was to install his own towers, own fibers, then you will have so many towers, so many rooftops looking uglier. Probably you will have to dig into the fiber is also being shared right now. So similarly, if every operator wants to install his own hits, probably it will not be economically viable. Probably those many satellites will not be available. Those many permissions required to set up such infrastructures are prohibitively not only expensive, but complicated also. But if somebody has laid a road, it is like if you want to run a metro for your own home, it won't be viable ever. Metro has to be. So with that in mind, we did evaluate all the pros and cons, and we found that we have a perfect partnership here where we can share the infrastructure. We also contribute into the running of the business or the cost of HITS infrastructure, and we at the same time use also. So that's a very good way forward. Unfortunately, the analog mindset of certain broadcasters is not letting us do that immediately. We could have done that 1 year back. We are still struggling with the same. But hopefully we will be able to resolve this.
Well, sounds good. I would love to see more such things coming up, because that adds a lot of value to the industry, whole industry, I would say.
Yes.
So the satellite role in the so we understand that at the transport layer, at the transport network, satellites are a wonderful medium. We understand that. Yeah. But this question is to John and Rajdeep and Gaurav. So besides the transport, what else is the satellite industry doing? Are we doing some value addition at the video processing end, or something to do with marketing or something? Oh, John, would you like to take a shot at?
Sure. I mean, I think what we're trying to do is add value, right, and innovate. And for us, innovation always starts with understanding the customer experiences and the challenges that they're facing. And in this case, I'm specifically talking about broadcasters. So, whilst SES are well known as a leading satellite operator, I mean, what we've actually been doing over the last couple of years is kind of embarking on our own digital transformation journey, I would say, and building the capability to deliver content anywhere to any device, right? So alongside investments we've made in satellite and broadcast technology, we've also built up a wealth of experience in cloud. And we've put in place infrastructure and partnerships to support that. And let me tell you why. That's because almost every broadcaster we talk to is looking to take advantage of a hybrid distribution model, right? Marrying traditional linear TV with OTT distribution. And when you take a step back and you think about the consumer experience, even on the TV at home, often linear and OTT are totally separate environments. I mean, for example, you almost always have to open a different app on your TV to watch your OTT content as opposed to your linear content. So it's fragmented. And I think for broadcasters, this is also fragmented on the back end. What we believe is that cloud solutions can provide our broadcast customers the ability to optimize content for different devices, different user experiences. And what they see as their number one challenge is to deliver content to any device that a consumer wants to watch it on. So this means kind of marrying the high reliability, high reach of satellite that we talked about with also this ability to help a broadcaster deliver platform flexibility. And that's why, we've worked a lot with Microsoft, with AWS to be able to build, the first broadcast grade cloud service, which really offers a huge amount of flexibility, scalability, and adaptability as broadcasters plan for growth. So I think that's one area where we've tried to focus on innovation to add value to our core satellite offerings.
Well, that's quite interesting. Gaurav, can I bring you in here? So is there a scope for a satellite operator to add more value besides the transport facilities that they provide?
Yes, of course. So let me tell you. So while John has laid out very clearly, articulate well as to what we are trying to do in terms of integrating our infrastructure, whether it is teleport or terrestrial backbone, fiber, etc., integrating those into the IP world, into the cloud world. I think there are a few other solutions which could be the value adds that we can provide to the video delivery chain. The things that come to mind definitely are that as we move towards the 5G world, in the process of delivering a next generation solution for the 5G era, what we are trying to do is we are creating a unified network, which is based not just on the current set of satellites, but the forthcoming software-defined satellites based on open standards, based on 5G, enabling and embracing the virtualized platform concept on the 5G era. So the model of tomorrow, the satellite model of tomorrow, would be where any new player who wants to get connected, there will be an easy plug and play based connectivity offering through a multi-layer redundant coverage that we believe fits in very well with some of our customers who are heading in that same direction. I would also want to add one more topic here, which is around video delivery going directly to the consumer. A lot of our global customers, to name a few like Disney, HBO Max, etc., are directly wanting to go to the customers. OTT provides them that. But then there is a whole big market, and we are talking connectivity to captive audience while they are sitting in an aeroplane or they are in a cruise boat. So we can offer that kind of a service where consumers get the same level of service, get the same entertainment that they would have gotten at their homes if they are traveling globally anywhere. So we think there is a huge opportunity on the planes and the ships as we emerge out of COVID-19 and people start traveling again. Intelsat has acquired a company in this domain called Gohil, and we've now integrated more than 3,000 aeroplanes into our global network. And we therefore provide an opportunity to our media customers to have a captive audience through this network on delivering video onto the cruise lines and to the airlines.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Rajdeep, same question. Is there a way, besides being a vendor of the transport capability that we provide, Are there other ways in which we could engage with the value chain?
Uh, Absolutely. Undoubtedly, what John and Gaurav has added. I mean, as a satellite operator, we work seamless towards how we can integrate this play. And like what Gaurav has said, uh, we have also looked into it, and we see when we provide a maritime services, a lot of the seafarers that they goes around, they are on for a multi-weeks or multi-days, onto the sea route traffic. And with our managed services, now we started offering video services. So thus far, our broadcasters were not leveraging on the distribution onto the sea also, like what Gaurav has said on for the GoGo they do on the airlines. We're using our in-flight and maritime services to provide hosting a content on a network and enabling video delivery to even at the sea, which has not been seen before. So sort of an edge that we're offering to it. But besides that, let me come back to India, because since we're talking in context of the India, I see there is a significant role that a satellite operator can play in today's context. Both Vince and Anilji has mentioned about the network, and if you take the gist out of it, is while satellite has played a critical role or enabler, it can still play a more better enabler role. Vince had just said that they are doing very smart way of managing their head end by having a PATV uplink. Now imagine if they could add a FT as well. It's always better. So if we go back, the satellite used to be very expensive in back in 90s, right? As the industry evolved, the satellite cost came down, and therefore now we see about 950. If I refer to the TRI report yesterday, 950 TV channels. But if you look at it today, 94 are HD out of the total 346. So we have, despite you and me, everyone has high def TV channel. We really are not looking at as much of high def content. And if we have to put it up, it's a cost. It's a cost to broadcaster. And what is that cost? Is satellite. So satellite operator can play a very good enabler role by balancing this on the pricing part. That's part one of the value chain. But I want to touch base for our viewers' understanding and their future prospect. There's a lot more that we can do, and we are doing it right now. Okay. So let me start from the broadcaster. Today, broadcaster, if they want to go on high def, besides we having a platform, we play enabler role. So now we have gone a step up. Thus far, we've been just selling a bandwidth, and they were uplinking on the sky. And they used to take us as one of the cost factor that, this is the cost of satellite, and then I have to make my business out of their distribution. So that's where they get to the next way of DPO. We have understood that by this whole flux of economy, demonetization, now the COVID, the world has changed, the technology, right? And therefore, every broadcaster or an operator or subscriber looking at optimized way to look at it. Today, if you have seen the significant growth of 3D subscriber, is partly reason of the new regulation and the cost higher of the content. So they're looking at one of the freebies that they're getting and casting on the mobile phone, right? So what we essentially looking at is, in playing a role into the satellite value chain, is we can enable a value chain from subscriber to LCO to MSO to hits operator, right? India is such a huge market. There's always a larger play when you create a cooperative union or cooperative space by creating a value proposition of your cost versus the delivery. I see that we can create a chain whereby enable an excellent infrastructure sharing for all the operators, MSO, thereby reducing their costs. So today, of course, what initiative NXTDIGITAL has taken up is commendable, and it will leverage all the MSO. Today, we've got about 1,713 MSOs in India. And if you look at it, they're using thousands of lease lines to share the same content, right?
Yes.
So if they come on and sharing the infrastructure on the hit, they're going to save significant amount of money. And let us accept the reality without getting into much of a bigger picture or jargon, that the MSOs margin are shrinking. They are surviving on a thin line, and LCOs are probably dying. If I can make this statement, the amount of if you look at the NTO2 result, the cost of the subscriber level will go high, the margin of LCO will go high, and go low of the LCO margin. He can't even afford a 2 employee who can go and collect the bill from the subscriber. You can't expect him to give a greater quality of services under such circumstances. So therefore, if satellite plays a better value proposition here, whereby enabling a HITS operator, enabling infrastructure sharing at the MSO level, and thereby passing benefit to LCO and thereby passing the quality of services. Now imagine an LCO who has joined hand with NXTDIGITAL or via MSO, the quality of services that they enjoy than what they earlier used to enjoy, because your small MSO or LCO do not have capability to comply with the current new regulation, both in terms of, let's say, if they want to change their plan, the class of services. So you see, it immediately upgrades them to a greater quality of services, which today people are finding to look at alternate, and the best alternate they find is DTH. DTH is expensive to this rural India in the current age of new tariff order. So they simply move to the free dish, right? It forced big broadcaster to, which were left from free to air, they move back to FTA. Imagine they've moved back to free dish. So that's the kind of pull it has. And now after NTO2, we have to understand in Indian context, the rate has again go high. You will see further result of it in the next result of TRI. If I look at the year-on-year or the reports of the TRI, DTH has been remained stagnant. I think the growth of the cable subscriber has been remained stagnant. People are waiting and watching. So as a satellite operator, I think we have a very important role to play here. A, to enable my broadcaster to make more money, which we are doing by doing affiliate sales. So we make them reach to the region that they are not. B, to make them high def. Their cost is increased. So we say, okay, we subsidize it and we create a model whereby they can go high def, yet maintain their cost and give quality of services to the subscriber. On the second layer of BPO model, we can support HITS operator, we can support MSO in infrastructure sharing by giving our satellite bandwidth to them at the right cost. Therefore it create a good environment. Of course, regulatory play a critical role, but we have seen the regulators are committed to evolve. They are slowly, but they're taking definite steps. And also being a satellite operator who are broadcasting, the big broadcaster for almost last 3 decades, we have already created trust equity. So today, what exactly Anil ji and Vince has been saying, that is important in the infrastructure era. Their interests are taken care of in terms of the consistency of the clarity and transparency. Probably what broadcaster might today contain. So I think we have a very, very key role to play, and I think as an ASIASAT, I think we are looking at playing this role in India. And I'm very confident that in years to come, you will witness just how, when people were laughing at the cellular operator who was pushing for infrastructure sharing, that time the only USP for the mobile operator was coverage. The Hutch then were only saying wherever you go, we have got a coverage. Then they started sharing their passive network, and today they are also sharing active network. And that's the way, because the infrastructure sharing will reduce the cost and pass benefit to the consumer. So I think to sum it up, that satellite will play a very important role in coming edge when the NTO 2, 3, 4 comes, and in order to pass the benefit to the subscriber at real level, from broadcaster to distribution provider and to the LCO and then the subscriber. So I think we have a very important role to play in time to come.
That's very interesting to know.
Rajeev, with your permission, can I just make a point? I think Rajdeep was absolutely, it's like as if Rajdeep has read our plan. Anil, we've got to be a little careful because Rajdeep was brilliantly spot on. No, I'll take forward what Rajdeep said, which was brilliant. Broadcasters want to grow their quality and their channels. So let's say they want to launch 50 or 60 or 100 HD channels because they will push up their ARPUs, right? High definition channels. Now, to launch high definition channels, the only way that broadcasters can make money is by having more subscribers pay for it. Now, if they come to me as NXTDIGITAL and say, I want you to run 50 HD channels, it is expensive for me to take another couple of transponders and run HD channels. But if it's Anil, Malhotra, and myself and 2 other MSOs, we know that we've got a base, our subscriber base is the economies of scale. So suddenly by taking 2 transponders, we deliver 50 or 100 more high definition channels to a much greater universe. So the broadcaster gets the benefit not just of is content being proliferated further, but also the ARPUs growing. And for us, it's a great benefit because we have differentiated content. The LMO earns more money. People are ready to pay a couple of rupees more when it comes to high definition. So, Rajdeep was spot on that the entire ecosystem can benefit if I think the thought processes get aligned to where the future is going. Sorry, that was the point I was just trying to make.
Perfect, perfect. For all of us, we have been listening a lot about OTT. It even came up during this discussion. I was going through some numbers, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the BARC number says that the linear TV viewing is somewhere in the range of 55 trillion minutes per annum. And for the OTT numbers, with these numbers, if you leave aside YouTube, I'm not considering YouTube as an OTT thing. So for a long form viewing, so that comes out to nearly 2.4 trillion viewing minutes. That's nearly 5% against all the hype that we talk about in the OTT taking away. Also, the viewing minutes per viewer on the linear channel has increased by 9%. And this is on a per viewer basis.
Yep. Yes.
People are not leaving away linear. OTT is an additional layer of viewing that's happening on the linear side. Now we don't have a broadcaster. I would love to have a broadcaster view here, but maybe Vince and Anil, you could help me out. We talk a lot about OTT, and we have some wonderful platforms like Disney and Netflix who have put in bundles of money in building that platform. But what about those broadcasters with 2 or 3 channels? Is there a possibility for them to build a platform like that? Or are they, I'm talking in case they want to go to OTT, right? So, or are they at the mercy of another OTT platform player? In which case, how are they differentiating themselves by not being on a linear platform where viewing minutes are much more? So, Anil, would you like to take on that?
Rajeev, OTT has been hyped as probably they will finish on linear television or the traditional businesses of DTH and cable. You see, OTT has one advantage. It's a stored content. You can provide services. You can view it anytime at your, there's no appointment TV happening there. There's a challenge. We are a country where probably the data presently is cheapest in the world. We have $1.1 per GB in comparison to US 1.4 to 8 in UK, etc. in some developed market, GB per kind of rate. Now the question here is, linear video will always be competitive because as far as OTT is concerned, even if you take platform neutral content pricing of TRI regime, because TRI mandates that it has to be a platform neutral content pricing, for OTT you need to pay for an additional bandwidth, and that to a very good bandwidth, which is scarcely available. You know, the kind of bandwidth penetration we have in India, probably 7 to 8% high-speed broadband to the populace,
yes,
which is yet to grow. So OTT is actually, sometimes what happens is that what we see around, we believe everywhere it is the same thing. Like I have not seen a free dish installed in any of my residential areas or in Delhi, but there are 40-50 million people living in villages who are watching free dish. So similarly, OTT we are seeing in metro. Probably this is that phenomena, and probably somewhere the 700 million mobile internet users are probably enjoying some of the OTT. But when it comes to a viewing experience of a live TV, etc., linear is the best way forward, and it's not going to go away. Yeah, this will be an additional service and another layer, and probably in future we will see a subscriber having an OTT and a linear screen also at his home. So that will happen.
Rajiv, I would like to add something here. One of my experience in the past when I used to work for a telco, I remember people overlooked that one of the first OTT that we all of us been using was SMS. When the mobile services we were using, SMS was an OTT. And I remember the telcos have tried to stop OTT because ultimately it rides onto their network without paying them a penny. So MNOs have really tried that. How can you take my network, not pay me, and make millions of money using my network, right? Now, therefore, in that context, we have seen how OTT has evolved. I do not take this differentiator between linear and OTT. And also, what you just said, I don't consider YouTube as a OTT. Well, we will have to change outlook, and we have to see. I'm just referring to Vanita's book that has just been published. Come out a day for yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you look at, we got to accept the reality that who are the big operator. I mean, back in 2012, no one knew that one of the biggest music label in India is Airtel, one of the music company, right? That's the money that they make. Now, today, YouTube has come into the picture. Let us accept it that whenever we are free or when we are going traveling, we access YouTube. And today's, even if you look at the broadcaster, there are a clear-cut differentiator content on OTT versus linear. They are creating differentiator because they are leveraging subscriber at both the end, correct? Tomorrow, yes, it may happen. Those broadcasters will take a way forward that I want to go D2C, I want to get the pulse of the customer and we want to see. But we must consider they are a part of the ecosystem and we are growing together. Therefore, I'm sure Vince will say that from DTH operator to his, they are all coming with hybrid set-top boxes. So while on a cell phone, might be there's a 1.5 GB per day capacity limit or network may not be there. But once we enter in home and we've got Wi-Fi, we can enable our set-top box to play a hybrid and view OTT as a linear TV experience, correct? Because we live in an India where social fabric is different, where some of our parents or seniors will not cast it and will not get into it. They just turn the remote on and just change it, right? So let us accept it that OTT in all form and what is going as a part of the system, it will complement together and it will evolve as a time to come. We must look at it as how we can take it forward along with it. Because if we get into, which I've seen, everyone has a different, I respect the outlook about OTT and linear and OTT but I think it will go hand in hand, it will evolve, in times to come. So I believe we must consider YouTube or any other form as one of the medium of content, because if you have read sometime back, Netflix has been seriously planning option of linear television, right? I'm getting into linear now. So we got to take this into a stride and grow to give more value to the subscriber. I think that's the way forward in my assessment. Yeah.
Can I just come in and add a line to what Rajdeep said?
Yeah.
So not just that the viewing habits on linear television are showing a growth. That the linear television market is much bigger than the OTT market. Of course, the OTT is growing, but to Rajdeep's point where he said that Netflix has been toying with the idea of actually coming into the linear space. So I think there is indeed a possibility, and it's not just Netflix. There are a few other companies as well, dozen in Europe, for example.
Yeah.
OTT companies realizing the need that not all markets are as wired and as well wired as the US or the Europe is. And in fact, Netflix and DAZN are European companies are trying out linear television in Europe. And I think there is a potential in that idea where OTT companies actually realize that it might be a good idea to just try and go into a linear mode and see if they can make some more money on the content that they are sitting without addressing a market. In India, if the TRI report, if you go by that, there is a 50% market that is yet not connected with broadband. And that market is going today to linear television, right? Without the Netflix and the Amazon addressing it. So there is a case for that indeed. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I'd like to bring you in again later to look at the role of satellite in the non-linear video markets. But before that, when it comes to OTT, we are talking of data connectivity. And in terms of data connectivity, more than fixed broadband, the mobile broadband has given us a lot of coverage. And I'm talking at the national level. Yeah? From 2G to 3G to 4G to and now moving on to 5G, and I'm very happy that the nation needs that kind of service and it is coming up. However, there is a bit of a subject here which needs discussion in terms, and that's an international subject, but it's more relevant in the Indian context, that while the 5G operators would want to have as much of mid-band spectrum, but the incumbent operations which rely on the C-band spectrum from 3.6 to 4.2 or 3.7 to 4.2, that should not be taken away from them. So while in Europe, in the mid-band, you would have around 50 megahertz per operator, kind of a thing with 3-4 operators playing in Germany. In India, we are looking at a place where it's being considered to give around 100 megahertz or 80 megahertz of spectrum per operator, which kind of infringes on the existing C-band operation. So, Vynsley, how do you think this is going to impact? Because your operations are C-band, that's what we heard.
Yeah. So I'm completely with you, Rajeev. There's no doubt about it. I think every when you look at C-band operation, it not only pertains to video delivery mechanisms, but also using the spectrum for a whole bunch of other things, which globally is acceptable, right? Which globally you're talking about, if we talk about broadband over satellite, etc. See, a lot of those aspects are mission critical aspects, right? When you talk about broadband over satellite, I'm not talking about broadband over satellite for entertainment. I'm talking about broadband over satellite for e-governance, for e-education, for e-medicine, for e-agriculture. I think that spectrum, that C-band spectrum is the holy grail, right? It's required for this aspect, and tests have proven that, as you rightly spoke about, that 5G works and other. So there's no need to necessarily impinge upon this this whole C-band spectrum that's available. So I'm with you. I think it's a dialogue, and to my knowledge, Rajeev, and I could be wrong, but I think even the regulator understands this aspect, and so does other key people in the ministry, because don't forget, we also have to keep in mind that our Prime Minister has a very clear vision for this country, right? You're talking about PM Vani, you're talking about a digital India, you're talking about digital inclusion, and it's highly commendable that our Prime Minister wants to ensure that digital services are available in the most remote parts of the country. Now, when you talk about that, the easiest way to bring digital services to the most remote part of the country is through satellite services and satellite services in C-band. And that is something that we all have to accept. It's not just a technological aspect. It's also what is good for the nation, right? What is important for us to deliver on the promise that, we need to bring digital inclusion to every part of this country. So I would look, I hear where you're coming from, looking at it from a technical perspective, but I think I look at it from a slightly wider panorama, that it is my duty also to deliver digital services, right? I mean, I recall when we launched HITS, it was not just the vision of a digital India, right, that we launched. It was also how do we bring in Skill India and Make in India. So Skill India, for instance, we worked very, very closely with LMOs in the most remote places to train them on how to use digital technology. Make in India, way back in 2015, our cable operator premise equipment, our set-top boxes, significant component was being made here. So I think that philosophy has to be embraced, not just in letter, but I think also in spirit, So that is my viewpoint on it. I know it's a bit controversial, Rajeev, but I feel very strongly about the business,
I'm sure we all do. Anil, would you like to add something, Anil?
No, I think we have already taken it up sufficiently with the government. There have been some joint meetings with the mobile operators who intend to bid for C-band. 5G. And the guys who are using, some meetings have been organized. I think government is well aware of the issues and the separation required between both the bands where you are using satellite or ground-based network. So there should not be any interference. We have already seen what happened when they allotted CDMA band in somewhere around 851 or 852.
Yes, yeah.
At that point of time. And of course, since now digitization has happened, so those issues are not there. But this is a very serious concern for the industry, because if some of the satellite operators operating in that zone, if their signals are disturbed, it will eventually obstruct our signals also. I think that's a very critical area where we have taken it up with the government, but ultimately when it is spectrum, etc., the government is the one to decide. We have given our point of view.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a justifiable call taken on that in interest of all the
Yes.
players and the nation as a whole. I'm sure. So which brings me
Can I
back to
just, Rajesh, sorry, but can I
yeah,
just chip
please,
in
go
here?
ahead.
We from satellite operator standpoint, we've been pushing it into various WRC meeting of ITU, including the previous one that has happened. But coming back to India, we have taken our collective effort to educate with various factual reports that we have done and presented it to the MIB, TRI, and everywhere. I understand that India has a huge MNO users, mobile, and therefore it is tend to see that they have a strong power. There are more people who are using it compared to the TV channel. And I've always put this forward that, as you said, satellite has an invisible role. Let us understand that this 915 channel is reaching to 205 million TV household, which multiplies and add up to say 1.2, 1.3 billion people who are reaching and who are experiencing this. So when the disruption happened to this TV channel, the impact goes to multitude of that many people when they are watching it. It'll be incredible. So I think it's very important that regulator looks at a complete overlook at this whole point of the frequency. Is very important because it is eventuality that we witness in other market, that when you put a smaller guard band or you go towards more higher towards 3700, it will create a huge disruptor. And let us understand, we are not a small country unlike the other regions,
Yes.
right? We are a huge country, and it will be a chaos because the receiver level, they will face a massive problem and they will not address it. They will put it to broadcaster, broadcast put it to DPO. It's going to be a chaos. So we, from our satellite operator point of view, we have developed our bandpass filter proactively about 4 years back, offering into the market to eliminate 5G interference. As we speak today, we have given it for the testing to the operators in India, and they've been doing it very well. But still, I would like to emphasize this point on this forum that regulator must play a proper cognizance to this fact that there'll be a huge disruptor if they take a very forward call, whereas there are other bands already available from 3.2 to 3.6 for a 5G operator in other bands. And let us understand spectrum auction. What is the state of the MNO industry in terms of the payment. It's going to be very challenging, and 5G is not going to be cheap. I mean, Hong Kong right now, and I can tell you, go around the world and see what is the 5G subscription as take up. The more data means more faster consumption of the data.
True.
I don't think so that many people in Hong Kong has really subscribed to 5G. It's very expensive. So trust me, we talk about 5G, great opportunity, great application, but doesn't mean everyone in India will subscribe to 5G. It's going to be very expensive. So
And
let's be
Rajdeep,
very real. Yeah.
Rajiv, to Rajdeep's point, one more thing. What is the first port of call for the government of India or for any government especially in terms of emergency alert services? It is the television network. When the pandemic happened, right? I mean, it's incredible how our government worked literally overnight, the kind of communications that went out across all DPO networks, right? In terms of what measures to take for coronavirus, what measures, social distancing, what to do, how even when vaccinations was announced, the communications went out through the entire television spectrum because they knew 230 million, 200 million households, and therefore X amount of 200 million, which pretty much covered a significant part of the country. And if you had to reach those remote places in any other way, manner, or form, it would be difficult. But because you had a television set that was delivering signals in C-band, you had a message coming in there. Because all of us as digital platform operators, Anil, myself, everyone, right, without exception, we carried out the messaging that went to the most remote of locations, right, to be able to learn them, including other digital platforms as well. So I think it's a bit of, you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? It's performing. It has a reason for it. It's it's doing the right thing. That it's required for a very clear mandate and a very clear reason. So I would be very clear about that. And our entire last mile owners business hinges upon this connectivity, right? Hinges upon continuing to have access to these services.
Okay, great. We are just running towards the deadline. Gaurav, I would like to bring you in. I had a question for you. I would like you to put your points on that, please. Thank you so much. The question was on the non-linear video market, do the satellites have a role to play?
Yes, so I'll make it quick. I know I just saw the message. It's just 1 minute away for the closure of this. So yes, for the non-linear video distribution market, I think there is a huge potential that the satellite industry really needs to look at. We need to come together for areas where the OTT subscriptions today are, as I said in the previous comment, the OTT is reaching only about 50% or less of the India's population, even if you go by the total population available. So how do you reach the remaining market? That remaining market can only be addressed as networks grow, as 4G and 5G proliferate more into the market, they penetrate into the market. But as they do that, the OTT service providers need to expand their video delivery network as well. So they will have a CDN delivery network or any other means to provide the content more closer to where the end customer is. And that's where I think satellite can be a great medium to provide content delivery in the 5G era or the 4G era to the edge, nearest to the consumer. So there are several forms this can occur. One of the form is video to the towers. So let's say an MNO is expanding the network to the remotest parts of the country. And then we can have a cache server installed on the tower itself. And that last mile delivery of content to that tower can be implemented locally by the MNO. And then the backbone can be provided by satellite. So I think there are some great potential additional benefits that satellite can provide in the upcoming era as we look forward and we do some crystal ball gazing. Delivery of content to the edge through edge computing devices is something that the satellite industry is really looking forward to. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Gaurav. We have short past
Rajeev,
Yeah.
Raju, just a last bit, just a half second. Airtel has plunged into OneWeb, put $1 billion. What are they doing? They are bringing the access network from terrestrial to the sky, bringing across the globe all the MNOs. Okay, so you already see access network going onto the sky over satellite. Soon you will see CDN in the sky. Okay, with the low latency. You will see this changing in terms of the content delivery network significantly. Probably what we have not witnessed thus far, and technology will evolve. Someone sitting in Israel or India might be already developing something. So we should look forward to it.
I really hate to end this session, but I have a lot of warnings coming up. There's so many good questions that we could have addressed, but that's probably for another time. But I have a very wonderful question, which I'll just leave the question here. I'm not going to be responsive. It says, Prasad Bharti has worked on a successful model with Swedish. What can be done to have more players in this segment? Is it just a business model, or are there regulatory conditions that deter others from joining the game? I'll leave that as a question. We don't have time to
regulatory
respond to that,
constraint.
but that was something
Answer is regulatory constraint.
Okay, we'll come to that. Maybe we'll have another session sometime on this. Thank you so much. I thank you all. Thank you all for this opportunity to picking your minds. And I thanks the viewers for the time and listening to us.
No, thank
you so much, Mr. Malhotra, Mr. Kharod, Mr. Huddle, Mr. Gohil, Mr. Fernandes, and Mr. Gambhir for that interesting session that we've had with some great knowledge sharing. I'm sure audience also had some great takeaways. We at the A.B.I.S Knowledge Summit and the SCAT India Trade Show would like to thank you all for logging in